Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now before we start this video, let me just show you something. We're on Score Beach Road. Now we were on the last video where we showed you the 4 hotels, and I just want to show you now how close, just how close those 4 hotels are to Tree Town, because Tree Town is directly in front. In fact, they've actually put some brand new signs up. There's about maybe half a dozen of them all over the place, and they're really nice, and they're all illuminated in all different colors and everything. They look really good in the dark. But now the time is, I think, about 6 o'clock, so it's going dark, but it's not dark yet. It's the time that I like to do a video because there's plenty of people around at 6 o'clock, but you still have enough daylight to get a very good picture. So what's today's video about? It's about not losing everything. People do. Look at those signs there. They look good, don't they? People do. It's incredible. I mean, with all the videos out and about, with all the knowledge that's out there on the internet, you really would think some people would pick up on the knowledge and realize what's happening, but they don't. A lot of them don't. Even though me and many other people like me are pumping out videos saying don't do this, be careful of that, watch out for that, you know, still people fall head first into the trap, you know, into the bear trap, and they're finished, they're gone when it happens. But let me just explain how it really happens, because it is a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. Okay, so now the last video but one about mistakes not to make in Pattaya has done really well, really well. You obviously enjoyed it, you guys, and you really seem to listen. I've had loads of emails and comments and all sorts from you guys, questions about how to come over and not get scammed and all the rest of it, and not lose your life savings. So I thought, okay, we need to do a video about that, about trying to help guide you guys through this minefield, because it is a minefield. Okay, to try to point out the warning signs, the red flags, to help you see clearly instead of looking through rose-colored specks, which is what you guys do. I mean, the reason it happens is basically the problem is of losing everything. It starts in your own country. What I mean by that is there's a lot of guys who come to live in Pattaya. Really, they're very emotionally vulnerable. Why? Because almost without exception, back in their own country, they went through a really nasty divorce. I mean, that may have been recently, or it may have been a while ago, and they've been living alone ever since. And these guys are feeling very unloved. And even though they may not be aware of it, these guys are looking for love. So that's the guys. Now, looking at it from the Thai girls' point of view, most working girls in Thailand, working girls I'm talking about, left school early. I know some who left at the age of 12 and 14 and things like that. The education level is just abysmal, you know. And they don't have any school leaving certificate, which means that they can't get a proper office job or a government job or even a hotel reception job. And the reason that they left school so early is because their family is dirt poor, and they didn't have the money to pay for their higher schooling. So she well understands the importance of money, and to her, money is very much number one. Yeah? So how do these two things fit together? You have a foreign guy who is moving to Thailand, who has money, but is missing love and affection. Then you have a Thai girl who is missing money, but knows how to fake love and affection. A match made in heaven, yes? It can be, it is possible, and it does happen. There are a few examples out there, but 90% of the time, not so much. Let me interrupt for 1 second. For you guys who don't know the area, we just walked up through the one side of Tree Town along Soy Bacau, and now this is Soy Honey. Now, Soy Honey used to be mainly massages, shops, but now it's turned into bars. There's only 2 or 3 massage places up at the top end, and then there's a great big massage place on the right hand side, a soapy one. There's also a couple of gents clubs, 2 or 3 gents clubs down here on Soy Honey, but once you get past these next few bars, then there's very little to see. So the odd bar here or there. So I've cut it there, and I walked all the way down, turned to the left, walked along Second Road, and then came to the bottom of Diana, where all the restaurants are. So we're actually going to jump from here to the bottom of Diana, where the restaurants are, and then we'll continue the chat. So you'll see in a second. And there now, across the road is Mike's Mall, and then these are the restaurants on the left here. So we'll just walk up here, and we'll walk all the way up Diana. We'll go left, we'll go along Bacau, and then we're actually going to show you a surprise. Now this is quite I've checked the internet. I don't think there's anybody else yet put anything on the net about this particular surprise. There may be, I may have missed it, but I don't think there is. So you will be surprised when we get there. Okay, so let's just carry on there. These restaurants on each side, there's 3 steak restaurants here. They're all really good, all of them equally good. I enjoy them all. I've been to all of them several times. Right, let's carry on to where we're up to. So a lot of you guys have been married for a long time and are completely out of touch with the dating scene and have lost all confidence with women, and found dating in your own country very intimidating. And then you come to Pattaya, and you're walking down Soy Bacau, having dozens of lovely ladies trying to drag you into their bar to have a drink together, and it's all a bit overwhelming. What you will find is that the girls are on the lookout for guys who appear to have money. Now, I don't only mean guys who are out splashing the cash and throwing the money around stupidly. Not only that, although that does attract certain types of girls. The more sensible ones will look at your clothes, and they notice the difference between a good quality shirt and pants and shoes, or flip-flops and a Chang vest. Now, the girls are looking for guys who have money, but there's another factor which is equally as important as having the money, and that is that they can get their hands on some of it. In other words, they're looking for a guy who is an easy touch, not someone who is a tight arse or a kiniao, which means mean, if you like, in Thai. Lots of guys retire here and have enough money to get them through their retirement years, along with the pension. So they are financially okay. They're not wealthy, but have just enough. And then they meet a lady who they really like and get on great with. And they like doing the same things together. She likes going for walks with you, and she'll learn how to play golf so she can go with you, or fishing, learn how to do that so she can go with you and enjoy together. In fact, all the things that you like to do, whatever it may be, going drinking, going dancing, going eating out, she will never say no. This is not just a coincidence. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is deliberate. In fact, you think that you just won the lottery, meeting a lady who is such a perfect match for you. And you end up getting deeply emotionally involved. It sort of creeps up on you without you realizing it, until it's too late and you're hooked. Now when it gets to this point, she'll realise and will start testing the water with things like, oh, my motor scooter is getting old and keeps breaking down and I really need to buy a new one. Perhaps you could help me, give me the deposit or something like that, and I'll pay the monthly payments. That sort of thing. That'll be the first sort of venture in that way. And I mean, some guys will give her the deposit and let her pay the payments. But other guys will say, oh, it's only 80,000 baht for a new whatever, click or something, whatever. And we'll just buy it for her. Now, that is the thin end of the wedge. And she knows she's got you. And the demands will start to get gradually bigger. Now, we're talking about the lady that is your newfound love, the one that you are over the moon about. And you think that she is also over the moon about you and thinking of building a life together. That's the lady we're talking about here. Now when it gets to this stage, if she was originally working in a bar or something, you'll be sort of saying, well, you've got to stop work, can't have you drinking and chatting with other guys, not when we're together to this extent. So you're going to end up living together. And she will have to give up work. I mean, she's like loving and warm and attentive and everything like that, and you're really, really happy with the situation, more than you've ever been in your life. But she has to send money home to her family to take care of her parents or even her child if she has one and what have you, and she has to do this. So she's going to say to you, well, if you want me to stop work, then I have to send money. Where am I going to get the money from? And it has to come from you. That's the only possible way, isn't it? So you negotiate. You say, well, how much are you making a month in the bar or whatever, and she will tell you how much. I mean, obviously it depends entirely on the girl. I mean, some of these girls earn stupid money. I saw a salary the other day, a 10-day salary. Just the salary was 90,000. Was 30,000, and then if you had all the other things, the drinks and the bar fines, it comes to about 90,000 a month. But that was a 10. That girl was a 10. But she showed me her slip the other day. We're not talking about that sort of quality of girl, really, are we? We're talking about someone who's more like a 7 or 8, some 6 or a 7, whatever. That's what we're talking about. And she would be happy with something like 20 or 30,000 baht a month, because up in East Sam they don't need a lot of money to live. So you'll negotiate and you'll decide on that. Let me interrupt the chat here, because this used to be Warehouse. You remember the nightclub, and it failed completely. In a matter of weeks it failed. So this is now Matador's new place, and it's all one bar, but separate bars, if you can follow me. I looked around, I couldn't see that many girls, but then when I turned around I saw that they were all together at the far end. If you look to the right now, you'll see there's a whole bunch of girls. They're all wearing red. They're all having some meeting or something. So that's where they were. So there are plenty of girls around. So it looks quite nice, actually. Much better than it was originally before it was Warehouse. If you remember, it was also a bar complex then. So anyway, we'll just carry on with what we're saying. Just see where I got up to. Yeah, so like maybe a month later after you've decided, or a couple of months later after you decided what you're going to give her, she starts to get sad again, and you're saying, what's wrong now? And she comes out with some story about needing a lump sum of money for something, like her grandma needs operation or whatever. It really doesn't matter what it is. It's a lump sum of money and it's not real. She's trying it on. She's testing you to see if you'll pay. Now, if you do pay, that is another sign to her that she's got the right person, because she wants to bleed you dry. That's what the whole object of this exercise is. So, one of the next things she'll suggest is that why don't you go visit her family, because you're together as a couple and everything, you know, you're living together and all that, and she wants you to go meet her family, which you think is okay. I mean, why not? She's the love of your life, you know. But on the way, what happens, I remember it happened to me. On the way, you end up pulling into like a food land or a market or something, and you rented a car, or you bought a car. You rented a car more than likely, and you stop at a food land or something, and she ends up buying like half a cow and a shed load of alcohol and a field full of vegetables to have some sort of homecoming party when she gets there. And you end up driving all the way up to Isan, wherever it is in Isan, and you meet the family, and everyone's, oh, wonderful, this Phalang's come and all the rest. She brought her boyfriend and everything, and of course immediately all the food gets dragged out to the back of the car, and the alcohol gets opened, and you end up having a huge party, and all the neighbours will come, everybody around will come. It's like a complete free-for-all that you are paying for. It's a huge party, and they're loving it, and you know, you enjoy yourself. I mean, you know, you end up getting rat-legged yourself probably, and you know, and you enjoy yourself. It's a good time, but of course, don't forget, you paid for everything. You pay for the whole shebang, the whole thing, everything, you know? Don't forget that. And while you're there, she just happens to mention that her mother asked if you were living together in Pattaya, you know? And she said, yes, we're living together. And her mother, she tells you, her mother is not happy about that. Because if you're living together as man and wife, you should be married. That's like a bit of a red flag starting to fly there, you know, that when she mentions this, that her mother's mentioned this, okay? So you get back to Pattaya and everything's fine, everything's good. You're happy and everything's wonderful. Until she starts to get moody again. Because her parents keep asking if she's still living with you and when are you going to get married. Her parents actually probably never said a word, but she's testing you, and then you say, okay, we can get married, and you're the love of my life, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in Thailand with you, and yes, okay. Then she hits you with a little bit of Thai culture, something called a sinsod, or a dowry. Now, that, any of you guys who are going through that right now, that is a red flag, okay? You don't have to go through with that. Many do, but you don't really have to. You can get away with it. But so the last for 50,000 baht up to 3 million as a dowry that you have to pay her family, her parents, to marry her, to take their daughter away. The fact that you are going to continue paying afterwards is doesn't seem to come into consideration, but you will be expected to pay that if you get married to her. Then she arranges a village marriage, you know, so you have the same sort of thing like you had when you went before. You have a huge party, great big party and everything. All the people come, and there's a big marriage, and you're sitting down, you're all dressed up, you've got your ring, gold rings, you've got all the flowers, you've got the whole headdress thing, and they've got everything, okay? And it's like a proper marriage, except there's no legal person there, there's no registrar there. It's a village marriage, which means that it's not actually legal. and it's a marriage which a lot of guys go through, Thai men go through, where they have a gig, they have a mia noi, a girlfriend, who they want to upgrade, yeah, and they'll do a marriage with her like this, like a sort of little mini marriage, but it's not real. So that's what you'll end up doing. Yeah? I'm paying a dowry for that, right? Let me interrupt again, because this is the surprise. Now, this is made in Thailand. Now, if you remember, it was back in November 2021 that they actually demolished all the bars at the bottom of Made in Thailand. Look at it now. We're going to walk through. Now, this was 6 o'clock in the evening and the gate was shut. So what I did was, the following morning, I knew they'd be working, and the gate would be open. So I came back, and voila, the gate is open. So it can go through. And this is actually the morning. So I'm just going to show you now, all around, the new Made in Thailand bars. I don't think anyone's shown this on the net yet, but this is it. Now, if you remember, we're 20 months ago now, wouldn't it? They gave the bar owners who were still there, they gave them 2 weeks notice to get out, basically, and they demolished the entire thing, and everyone thought it was going to be turned into a condo or a hotel, and nothing happened. It just remained completely empty until, I think, only a matter of a couple of months ago they started working it again, and now it's pretty much very much nearly finished. The toilets are in the same place on the right hand side, just exactly where they were. That must be where the drains are, I presume. And then all the bars are, there's 3 rows, same as there was before. So it's basically the same. It appears they knocked it down for nothing, because they've rebuilt it just the same as it was. Anyway, I mean, you wouldn't think they needed it, would you? Because although there's quite a decent amount of girls back here now, there's just no customers. I mean, we're expecting them to come back in November, but you've got 3 more months, and then you've got another low season after that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. Wait and see what happens. It all depends on if people come back and it gets back to the way it used to be back in November. That's what it all depends on. Anyway, let me just finish off what I was talking about. Okay? So the final stage of what we're talking about can happen is you end up going back to Pattaya married. Well, a fake marriage, but you think it's real. And the next thing, she starts getting moody again. Why? Because she's saying, well, we're married now. We should have a house together. We shouldn't be renting a condo, and not in Pattaya. We should have a house up in my village, which is where we're going to retire to when we get old. That's where we should have a house. This is a second red flag. If you ignored the first one, this is another red flag. Why a village? Because she makes some excuse about that's why. The reason is because she wants a house there for her family. Not for you and her, for her family. Anyway, what happens is usually people end up having a house built or buying a house or whatever, and then you'd think she'd be happy, wouldn't you? But no, because she still wants money. She still wants money for this or that, and she'll keep pushing for money. And it'll get to the point where, as I said before, a lot of guys don't have a lot of money, they have enough. And you keep draining it like this, and you'll end up with getting down to next nothing. I remember a friend of mine, this happened to him. He got down to 5,000 English pounds, and he said, that's it, I'm not going any lower than that. And you'll actually get to a point where you'll say no. You'll have to say no, because you're running out of money. That's when she starts to really kick up a fuss and make problems, and starts with arguments and all the rest of it. And it gets to the point where it's just it can't continue, So she'll end up leaving. wrap it up, say I have to go back to work, and I'm finishing and wrapping it up. And that's how many of them finish. I mean, if you unfortunately did buy a house, like many people do, or have a house built, you've lost that, because that land is in her name. Obviously it can't be in yours, so you know that will be in her name. So you've lost that land and house, and you end up with next to nothing. You've run out of money. So that's what you have to be careful. The two big red flags are when she asks for a sinsod or a dowry, and also a house in her village. Oh, look at that. That's where the entrance used to be to get through to Made in Thailand. They've blocked it all off and built a bar there. And maybe that's not going to be reopened then. Maybe that you're going to have to go around the other way. Anyway, you see what can happen, guys, with this. You've got to be so careful. You've got to be so careful. That's where the Spirit House used to be. We're obviously going to replace that. So I thought I'd show you this as well. Have a look around here. This will be open, by the way. It looks like it's very nearly finished. They'll be renting out the bars next. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and the warnings. Okay, so please have a look at well, like many guys are doing, have a little look at Patreon, especially the Uncut Soy 6 ones, and please subscribe, like, share, ring the bell. And thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope that you found this entertaining. Thanks a lot, guys. See you in the next video.